Hi everybody, and welcome back to another update here on the QPW channel of Bella and Davyd. So Bella, we had a very powerful eclipse last night, a full moon in Pisces, with Saturn a little bit in the mix, but also conjuncting Neptune, with a whole bunch of other crazy astrology going on, and it was kind of intense, but actually...
It was intense, but really good, I would say, because it felt like a culmination of many timelines and many different things that we've been putting together. So it felt like a very powerful culmination point.
It did, and what we've been learning about eclipses over the last few years is that really they're kind of their portals into deep space through which almost anything can come. Sometimes really, really amazing stuff, sometimes maybe not so amazing, which is what we've been tracking throughout human history, and seeing that our ancient Mayan ancestors paid particular attention to the eclipses, we suspect for this very reason. Now, the good news is that the tables have been turned, and many of us now understand much more about eclipse technology, much more about portal technology, and also how to connect to our, well, we can say our cosmic selves, really. I mean, we often think of it, right, Bella, as being our off-planet ancestors, our star families, but in many ways, we're really just reconnecting to that part of ourselves.
It's a point of integration is what it feels like. We're integrating all of those other avatars that we have, but in order to get to that point, there has been a lot of cleanup, a lot of repair work, a lot of coming to a point of understanding and release and healing, so that we can jump and integrate each part of ourselves, so that we can move forward lighter into the new human being.
Right,
that's
a really important word right there, light or lighter, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that in a minute. But I think what's really struck us, right, Bella, over the last few months, and maybe even since we've been together over the last couple of years, is understanding the nature of time is so much more fundamental to the shift than even we had realized, and certainly doing the work together with the Mayan time and magic, all of the work we share through the quantum compass, looking at the various astrological alignments in conjunction with the wave spells, has really allowed us to navigate onto what I would call the silver thread of the new Earth timeline. And many of us probably have been running multiple timelines in our past because of traumas and various other things, all of which we've started to realize have been manipulated by various types of what we would call technologies. We can say AI, fallen arthropods, if you're aware of the stellar nations pathways, but what we can say is it is essentially extraterrestrial. That is the key that we need to understand. But also what's really important to understand is that we are also partially of that energy. It's part of our DNA makeup, it's part of our star family, so we need to kind of get okay with that, and it is kind of tricky, speaking from experience.
And one of the things that I've understood is that over the past couple of years or more, maybe even longer for us, we've been understanding what is it that needed to be done to remove some of those interferences, so that we could clear our fields, clear our programs, clear our energetic bodies, clean timelines. Many of those things have been done, and now this is part of what has brought us to this point of, okay, we have an idea of what needs to keep clear or clean in the astrals, so that we can actually jump and do all of this process.
Right, and maybe if you're watching this for the first time on our channel, or maybe listening to us for the first time, maybe some of this sounds a little far out. Well, I don't think it's so much of a stretch to understand that we've been living under some sort of unhelpful anti-grid. We could call it the Matrix, maybe, and maybe just to sit and ponder what actually that is, and what effect it has on us, and if you can discern the type of electromagnetic frequencies running through it and the type of technology behind it, because if you can, that'll start to give you an understanding of why that needs to be removed, and actually what a suppressive energy it's had on all of us, but also how it's been manipulated. We understand that this technology also basically sees everything that we do. There's nothing really a part of our lives that isn't secret, much as that might disturb certainly both of us, but I suspect many of you too, and having to come to terms with the transparent nature of the fifth dimension, which, if we're all on the new Earth timeline, is essentially where we're all heading. Now, it sounds like maybe the fifth dimension is a couple of blocks down on the left-hand side. No, it's inside all of us, and we can access it at any time. And really, when we know that we're in our fifth dimensional space, is when we're connecting with our own intuition. Now, if you're wondering what is the fourth dimension, well, that's even easier to understand. When we get emotionally fired up, either in a positive way or an unhelpful way, that is our emotional body. That is part of our lower astral realms. Which is why, Bella, we've been doing this new weekly clearing session, right? We called it the game over for the astral realms, or the end game for the astral realms, I think is what you called it. And so we had our first session with many people, from our tribe and others joining from different parts of the world, some in person, some just energetically. And we did a 35 minute intensive clearing of the energy field. But today's video, we just want to bring into the space some of the symptoms that people have been describing to us in those sessions, some of the symptoms that people are emailing us about asking for help, and possible causes and solutions, all of which we cover in much more detail in our Sunday clearing sessions. But we just wanted to put it out there because we're sensing that many people are getting some of the energies a bit mixed up maybe, and we just wanted to offer some of our own views. We're not saying that we've got it all correct, but we have a very long, we can say, case study collection to draw on with our own clients, our own work, the cleansing practices that we do. But most of all, I think, Bella, how mindful we've become of what's going on for us at any given moment, right?
Yeah. So if you have not seen the previous video to this is a part 2 to the Astral Endgame. We'll put it here on the notes. We explained the initiative that we have. We got the download that for 10 weeks we needed to hold space and keep on clearing the fields in a group format. And that's what we're doing online. And if you want to be part of it, it's every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Time. And you don't need to be present in the call. It's ideal if you are. But if you can't, you could register and receive the healing, and we give the instructions in the...
Right, I just want to re-emphasize that point because what we do as energy healers is we work at the quantum level, and so really the Zoom call is just a way of connecting with people visually. When we do our clearings in the past with other clients, we just work with a photo. We don't have to have any one-to-one. There needs to be no interaction because we're working at the quantum and astral level of people's energy fields, and when those clearings take place on a one-to-one basis in that space, the energy field of the client speaks directly to us as healers. So that's how we do it. Now we've adapted the format slightly because we just had so many requests for help over the last couple of weeks that we just simply can't get to everybody, but also feeling as healers that we want to still be in service and to offer what we can do. So we've come up with this format which worked really, really well. First time out this Sunday just gone, and we'll be repeating pretty much every Sunday, as Bella said, up until about November the 17th. So this is all very much synchronized with the astrology of the moment over the next 2 months. And in fact, that finishes just before Pluto re-enters Aquarius. So nothing happens by chance, and particularly when you're working with Mayan time technology as we do, everything has a habit of fitting exactly where it needs to. So with that in mind, Bella, I just wanted to throw out some of the symptoms that people have been talking about and how we've tracked these ourselves to see whether they resonate for us as the cause, or maybe something else is going on. And I think the one that I've heard the most is the sudden tiredness that gets all-consuming. I've definitely experienced that. What about you?
Yes, especially after I have been to the supermarket. Right. That's a regular one. So I normally need to come back and do a little clearing on myself. That is the most common one when I go out.
Yeah, likewise, and also I've noticed that when driving along particular strips of road, I start yawning really loudly. I feel like my energy just suddenly slumped, and we quickly notice that on either side of us in particular stretches of this highway that there are certain towers with certain white panels which we know emit certain types of unhelpful frequencies, if you know what we mean. So we've become very, very adept and very present in our everyday negotiations of the environment around us and observing like, hey, that was a tough afternoon in town. What happened there? Where did we go? Is it something going on for me? Was it the environment? And then maybe the following day it's perfectly fine. So as Scorpios, we do tend to track these things perhaps a little bit more succinctly than some people might. But the reason for that is we want to understand what is going on for us. And rather than just willy-nilly ascribing symptoms to maybe Ascension Symptoms, which it may be, we have some theories about that, I'm more likely to look at it and say, well, is this the solar flares causing this? This is our first port of call because many people believe symptoms happening them are down to solar flares, which I also actually ascribe to in some cases, but also when I really ran all of the big solar flares that have happened, solar storms that have happened. For example, like yesterday on the eclipse, there was supposedly a big solar storm and flares that hit the planet. I felt great. I felt great all day. And in fact, generally, when I've tracked solar activity, those days I feel great. However, there have been other days where I felt totally the opposite and felt total chaos energy, lots of hamster wheel thoughts, total crazy stuff. So, is that the sun? Is it something hiding behind the sun? Is it something completely different? Well, there are lots of different answers to that, and we will be going into all of those in the coming weeks on the calls, but we want to put this out there Really just to get all of you into the mind space of tracking what is going on for you and not just sitting back and ascribing it to something that you heard on YouTube video somewhere, but testing it. We always tell all of our clients and students, don't just believe what we put in these videos or share in our live calls, go and test them, because that's how we came to these conclusions. So tiredness is one, the big yawning, maybe suddenly the afternoon nap that comes out of nowhere, always at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Isn't that curious that you always suddenly feel tired at exactly the same moment of the day? Maybe it's different times of the day. These are the things that we recommend paying attention to, because when you start to see the patterns, you'll start to ask more questions. Other things that people have been describing a lot of, anxiety. Hamster wheel thoughts that will not go away, often of a lower frequency, with some perhaps doom or Armageddon energies in there. What do you think, Bella?
Yeah, lots of people recalling that.
So what is that? Well, again, lots of different ideas and theories for sure. I feel like there's frequencies that are of a lower nature that are being offered to us, maybe to receive or not to receive, depending on where we are. But this is where it comes down to, I think, some of the fundamental points that we need to consider at this time, which is we are passing through the photon belt, we are receiving lots of energy and light from the sun, all of which I think most of us in this space understand is part of the journey to become more light filled.
It's the upgrade.
It's the upgrade. So if there are some sort of ascension symptoms, I would actually say the ascension symptoms are when I feel really, really good, like on the eclipse last night. In the window of the eclipse, felt super connected to almost all of my multidimensional self. Really, really profound experience, right in the middle of some heavy duty solar activity. So that kind of writes out some of the other theories which we've been running. So this is, again, how we track these things. Hamster wheel thoughts, well, when something gets stuck and goes around and around and around, it's not that difficult to understand that maybe we're on some sort of circuit. Maybe it's getting triggered by something. Maybe the circuit doesn't stop because it has a breaker in it. So these are the energetic things that we've discovered that we talk about on the Sunday clearing sessions, and also how they got there and how we remove them. Because in the end, it's no good talking about these things. We need to have solutions. And if we look for the solutions at the energetic level, then by default they will come down to the 3D, particularly when we work with certain key plants, which is what we generally do.
So what we understand is that we have entered the storm period, the chaos energy. And so what we're trying to do here is come up with solutions and navigation tips. And the most clear, which is very important for us almost on a daily basis, is the clearing of the energetic field and the astral. So that we can then keep on with that energetic hygiene, just like we would clean everything else. We've realized it's essential in order to navigate this chaos energy. And part of it is that all situations are going to come up. Everything that is not resolved to an emotional level, mental level, physical level, all of them are going to come up because it's the only way that we move forward. So that is kind of the support that we're doing.
Right, and we don't share any of this to be doom and gloom or to scaremonger. We share this because we've already gone through this process pretty intensely and are still finishing off some bits of it on some days. So whenever anything comes up for us, my experience over the last few years is not to push it away and resist, even though that can be super tempting, because it maybe feels like, I don't want to go into that, or that person, that situation. Yeah, that's easy to do, but unfortunately we're running out of time in the window, and if we really, really want to evolve to a higher space, higher state of consciousness in a more permanent fashion, we can't be having this stuff still going. It's somehow not really coherent or congruent. The energies just don't fit together. So that's why we've been called and guided to put these sessions on. We used to teach all of this stuff. Many of our tribe members have learnt this. That's something of the past now, which is also something we talk a lot about, is the recalibration or removal of the old timelines into one central new Earth silver thread timeline. And so that is a process that has been going on for a while now. It is part of the shift, and yesterday's eclipse was a big part of that also. So we talk a little bit about these things, and when we think about our pain and our sorrow and the things that hurt us, they're actually on what we might consider past timelines. So those timelines are no longer serving us really. So how do we fix them? How do we heal them? How do we repair them? Bring them forwards into the present moment, which is now, and then move forwards, which is also still a continuation of now, but we perceive it as the future. So we really need to get our heads around the malleability of time. Now that's not essential for dealing with these symptoms, but it's a big part of the picture which is going to come to humanity, and which Bella has really been sharing very strongly with this year, because our ancient future ancestors, the Maya, knew about all of this. They also knew about portals. They knew what they could use them for, and also what they perhaps had to protect themselves against during those periods, all of which is now coming online to all of us as many of us start to become more activated in our 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8D and beyond selves. So just want to bring out a couple of the other things that people have been sharing, just so that you can maybe start to see, oh my gosh, some of these things are going on for me. You might have had the sense of stomach churning. Maybe it's not been difficult to get food in. Maybe food hasn't been digesting super well. Maybe it's also, passing through us in not the best way. So that might be going on. You might be feeling super demotivated, particularly to get onto the technology, maybe to sit at the computer for hours and do work, which you did before easily, maybe now isn't so easy. Maybe you can't concentrate, maybe you feel agitated, maybe your heart rate's accelerated. Maybe it's difficult to get stuff done. Maybe on top of all of that, you suddenly feel super tired and then have to take a nap after not really achieving much for the day. So there are lots of kinds of weird things that, if you think about it, don't really super stack up. The brain fog and the forgetfulness, these are also symptoms that people have shared with us, particularly the brain fog. I personally haven't experienced that one so much, but what I have seen is that sometimes I'll be really in the middle of doing something intently and I'll be, oh my God, like what was it I was just doing and thinking about 30 seconds ago, and then having to spend 2 or 3 minutes to recall back, oh yeah, I was doing this. Super weird, definitely not Alzheimer's for sure, not in my case anyway, but it does make me think that some of these narratives are being manipulated a little bit to convince people of certain things, which actually may be distracting away from what they really are. So, we do believe that the sun is having an effect on us. We do believe the photon belt is having an effect on us, but we think that it's positive. It feels positive to us. Ascension symptoms, again, it's a big topic of debate, a bit of a hot potato. We'll be talking more about our own theories about this in the Sunday sessions as part of the astral teachings that we give after the half-an-hour clearing group session. And also the chaos energy. There have definitely been days, and we even talked to the Ascended Master Zach about this, and he said there will be days where it just feels like chaos, and all you really need to do is try and sit and ground and maybe be out in nature like this and find a nice oak tree, put your feet on the ground, read a nice book, paint a picture.
And be playful, find something joyful so that you can switch that part off for a while.
Right. And the other thing, of course, is that many of you will be well aware of is environmental toxicity. Some of the stuff in the sky, stuff in our water, stuff in the ground, stuff in our food, all of which is really encouraging us to be much more mindful about what we're putting in, where we are, how we're transmuting unhelpful energies. So that's a little bit about what we're perceiving. We have our next Sunday clearing session coming up this Sunday, which is, I think, the 22nd. It's going to be on the equinox, of course, another powerful day, another galactic activation portal day in this incredibly powerful mind wave spell of the White World Bridger. So when you start to pull all the threads and details in, as me and Bella do on a daily basis, we start to see these incredible patterns, and we can say roots, silver threads into the future, but they do require conscious awareness every single day, not just here and there, once in a while. It's like every day we sit, we tune, we put out the Quantum Compass show, which also helps us navigate the next couple of weeks in front of us, but as many of you have replied to us also, it helps you too. And I think these are the kinds of tools that we are using ourselves, right, Bella, but also wanting to share with you because they're working for us. We're actually in a beautiful space after having spent a lot of this year apart and actually doing the things that we wanted to do for a long time, and sit here and share how to do that with all of you, because this is the fifth dimensional frequency of the goddess and of play.
So that's it. It's an invitation. If you want to join us for one of the clearings, we're going to do 9 more. So every week, every Sunday. You can do only one, or you can do all of them and see how you feel. In fact, we would like the feedback on how you're feeling after those. Because we feel that is the way we can support the next few weeks, when we feel the astrology is super intense and that we have entered the maximum of the chaos energy, where we actually can use it to catalyze our final bit of the process.
Right, and so yes, as Bella said, you can book for a session at a time. We did also offer a package for all 10 clearings, which includes each and every week the astral teachings that we give with those clearings, which tackles a different topic. Last week we covered about emotional attachments, how they get into a field, what they do when they're there, and how to remove them. If you sign up now, that information, that teaching can still be accessed, and that will be true for every week hereafter. So just wanted to share all of this, everybody. Keep on rocking on. We are absolutely now in the thick of the energy. We perceive that probably for the next 3 to 4 weeks it could be kind of intense, but it's going to be a good intense. All we have to do is stay centered, not let the things unseat us, because it could be a little messy even in our mind space, but to remember that we chose to be here, that we're part of the shift, and that we have so much love and support, not just from our human brothers and sisters, but also from so many beings off planet. It's incredible just to see on evenings like last night just how much support there actually is. So we wanted to share all of that because first of all, many of you may be having a little bit of a tough time. We want to share with you that it's going to be okay. You just have to stay the course, but also it does require a little bit of awareness and self-attention and really self-love.
And using the tools. To all of you that have been with us for a long time and have done the Rainbow Bridge or any of the immersions, it's the time to use the tools that we shared and everything that came through that actually has helped us come to this point. And part of the clearings are many of those tools that we've been using.
And as the final thought, you know, in between sessions, even if you haven't trained with us and don't know the protocols and techniques, we're going to each week advise different plants to use. And those plants, as we've seen with many of our clients already over the last few weeks, they make such a difference in between clearings or immediately after personal clearings because they help solidify the energy and they actually help to start detox out the things that no longer serve us. We call it the density or the shadow, but if you think about it logically, if you get rid of density, then there's more space for the light, and when the light comes in, we've got those juicy cosmic codes that are really just us remembering who we are, which is actually the fun part of all of this. So when we do a little bit of inner work, we release, we get this kind of special effect. So anyway, that's it for this week. We hope to see many more of you on Sunday, and please do comment or ask questions here on the video. Please also hit like and subscribe so that this information can be seen by more people. And we look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Bye for now.